What comes to mind when I say a dog? A dog's love is unconditional. It's marked by loyalty and devotion, regardless of circumstances. In stark contrast, humans cannot agree with the same emotion. Before hosting mega events like the Olympics, cities often undertake extensive cleanup initiatives to enhance their image and infrastructure. And what do they do first? They want to hide the ugly part of urban life: homelessness and stray animals. On today's episode of Chezuba Talks, I have Anna Umansky. She's the executive director of Friends of Sochi Dogs. Why Sochi? You might have guessed. Welcome to the podcast, Anna.
Thanks so much for having me. So excited to be here.
Anna, I can see that you're extremely passionate about rescuing dogs. Tell us how Sochi Friends of Dogs happened to come about and what do you do under this program?
Yeah, absolutely. Sochi Dogs was never a planned venture in any way. It was actually the first time I got into rescuing dogs. And it just so happened that, as you said, Thais, they were getting ready for the Olympics in Sochi, and they wanted to clean up, quote unquote, the stray dogs. And there were a lot of folks who were upset about it. And they started saving these animals. And then the media came in for the Olympics, and they saw what was going on, and they talked to some of these volunteers who were driving around in their cars at all hours of the day, just like looking to see which dogs would be able to jump in their car and that they could save. Um, and when word got out, people here in the US got really upset about it. And they said they wanted to help. And it just seemed like there's this incredible opportunity to bring these volunteers who are working around the clock to rescue dogs and a lot of people who are passionate to help them together. And that's how Sochi Dogs was born. It was, we never set out to start an organization. It just happened. And after we put together a fundraiser to help during the Olympics, folks reached out to us and they said, "Hey, we want to adopt. We want to bring these dogs into homes." And we said, "Okay, we can do this." And our first dog flew out to Houston, Texas, in the spring of 2014. So that was 10 years ago now. And he was adopted, and then we started adopting all over the country. We've adopted in Europe, and right now we're focused on helping street dogs. So for a long time, we ran a shelter in Sochi where we were continuing to take dogs off the street, where we were working with communities to spay and neuter homeless animals to help with the problem. So dogs didn't end up on the street, so there were less dogs on the street, and where we worked with the communities to feed homeless dogs. Since the invasion into Ukraine 2 years ago, we focused our efforts in Ukraine. And now because that's where there is such a need, and there's so many homeless animals there. So that's where we're working now. And we're also connected with rescues in South Korea and Latvia as well. And it's just grown over these past 10 years, because there's a need and there's an opportunity to connect people with dogs. And, our tagline, our motto is that every dog needs a human. And that's what we try to do. We try to find humans for every dog out there.
Right, worthy humans, that too. So, Anna, when you say you
Exactly.
transport dogs from South Korea and Ukraine. And so how do you transport them? Obviously they are going to be coming in by flight. So do you have
Mhm.
volunteers who accompany them, or how does this work? And is there any quarantine? Is there any kind of legal um, documents that you have to fill in?
Oh my goodness. Are there documents? Yes, and so many. So all of our dogs are uh, certified or get permission to enter the U.S. by the CDC, as well as the USDA, and any of the European entities when we do adopt in Europe. So everybody is up to date on all of their vaccinations, and all of that's documented through vet certificates and international passports. And to bring dogs in right now, we rely exclusively on flight volunteers. So these are just folks that are flying either from South Korea or from Warsaw or Latvia, coming into the US. And it's actually really easy. All you do is you just we bring the dog to the airport and folks check it in as checked luggage. But that's the only way that dogs are able to be transported, unless we, of course, get a chartered flight. But we're not quite there yet. So right now, we
Well,
rely on kind folks who love to travel.
that's amazing. And do these volunteers, decide that, okay, I'm going to be? Do they carry more than one or two dogs? Do they accompany more than a couple of dogs?
Yeah, so all of that is based on the airline, and generally, airlines restrict 2 dogs per passenger.
Right. And when they come to the home that they are going to be adopted at, how do you arrange that meeting? How do you know that the dog is going to be accepted for who he or she is?
Yeah, that's a great question. So before any dog gets adopted, we have folks fill out a questionnaire on our website so that we can get to know them a little bit. Then we spend a few minutes chatting with them, getting to know their personality, what they like to do on the weekends, who else is important, part of their family. Do they have other pets or kids, or maybe they love to go sailing, maybe they love to go hiking. We have folks with all sorts of interesting hobbies. And then we match them up with a dog who's going to be a good fit for them.
Right.
And then when the dog flies over, they go straight to their foster to adopt families,
Mhm.
and we give folks a little bit of a week or two to just kind of settle in. And so
Okay.
everybody gets to know each other and gets to know their routines. And because we really get to know our adopters, and because we have really great rescue partners who get to know the dogs, we're able to make a great match. And I would say probably about 97% of dogs that we adopt
Oh,
end up
lovely.
staying in their original home.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. Let's take a break to understand what Chezuba is. Everyone at some point ponders on how this beautiful life can be made more meaningful. Maybe you're a leader trying to enhance your employees' experience at your organization. Or you already work for the community and seek volunteers with state of the art skills to strengthen your nonprofit. Whatever your situation, know that you can make a difference. Chezuba began with this very vision, a vision to facilitate every skill and every passion in the world in meeting a social need. Corporate volunteering has several benefits for both businesses and organizations. In parallel, experienced and enthusiastic volunteers join NGO workers, enabling them to serve the community more effectively. Chezuba offers everyone looking to add purpose and meaning to their lives a chance to connect or volunteer virtually with nonprofit organizations from over 100 countries around the world. Visit www.chezuba.net and explore opportunities to find meaning. Chezuba, your platform to do good. And now, back with our guest. So, how are they different? How are these stray dogs or these rescue dogs different from pet dogs? I know I have two beagles, and both of them are very, very different in their demeanor. And yet, I see them, they have very different personalities. So, what is the difference between adopting a stray dog and a dog that has been with a family?
So some of our dogs have in fact been with families. We get dogs from all sorts of different situations. Working in Ukraine right now, we have a lot of dogs who've been with families, but unfortunately, when their families had to flee the war, they weren't able to take them with them. So we get some dogs that are street dogs, some dogs that have been in families, some dogs that have been surrendered to shelters, all sorts of different situations. And they have so many different personalities. It's probably one of my favorite things just to see how different all of them are. Their likes, their dislikes. It's really incredible. But I would say that one thing they all have in common, and you can ask all of our adopters, is that they understand that they were in a bad spot and that they were rescued. And
Um,
you can just see how grateful they are. How grateful
wow.
they are to have their humans, to have a soft bed to sleep on and food to eat. A lot of dogs, they didn't have that. Sometimes their first time when they're in a home, it's the first time they have a soft bed. It's the first time they have a roof over their head. Um, Delicious treats to eat. I
And love
personally
and
just adopted a
affection.
dog who was
Yeah.
rescued as a puppy in Ukraine. And her first couple of weeks, I got her all of these delicious treats, and I was like, "You're going to be spoiled." And she wouldn't eat them. She would just hide them in the bed. And I was like, "Okay, she
Oh,
must not like them. Let's go get more." All right, nope, these aren't the case. Okay, get more. Let's see. Let's find out what she likes. But really, they were so good that she was saving them, and
oh,
she would just hide them all over her little bed. And now that she's been settled in and she knows that this is her home
oh,
and that
oh.
she's going to have treats and a human who loves her, she gobbles them right up. But it took her a couple of weeks
It,
to understand that.
that's so cute. That's so heartwarming. Really, you know,
Yeah.
rescuing dogs is something that you're doing. It's very noble. But have you come up across a situation where the dog needs to be rescued and is not in such good shape in terms of health or in terms of an injury? So, what do you do in such a case?
Absolutely. It happens all the time. We take that dog to the vet. We get it the surgery that it needs. We've dealt with dogs in wheelchairs. We've dealt with dogs with incredible like neck injuries. We've had one-eyed dogs, tripods, you name it. They go to the vet, they get the care that they need, and then we find a home that's going to be suitable for them, just like any other dog.
So, yeah, what if the dog is injured in the home country, say Ukraine, for example? Do you arrange for the vet there itself and then transport it?
Exactly.
Okay,
So we, for all of our rescue locations, we work with rescue partners.
okay,
So these
okay.
are folks that have shelters that have trusted veterinarians that they're working with. So we make sure that before anybody comes over, they're healthy, they're ready to travel. We would never want to put a dog on a plane
Very true.
if they weren't ready to do that. And we have trusted vets that we work with. So if somebody gets picked up off the street and they're injured or they need some sort of care, they go to the vet, they get the care that they need, they get placed into a foster home or into a shelter as is appropriate, and as deemed by our rescue partners. And they take time to heal. And then once they're ready to go, they come over and they find their families. But I will say that an injury is never a reason not to rescue a dog or to try to find them a good home. In
That's
fact, I will say
beautiful.
that sometimes our tripod dogs get adopted faster than
Faster.
our regular four-legged dogs.
Lovely,
Because
lovely.
and part of it that has to do with the folks that folks really want to help, and the adopters that we have that really want to be there for an animal in need.
True. And you say, how many countries are you functioning in at this moment?
Right now we have 4 countries that we're working in, or where we have rescue partners. And we have folks reach out to us all the time, asking if we can help and if we can expand, and we want to do as much as we can, but we're slowly growing, but we do want to make sure that we're really responsible with the way that we're growing and with the
Great.
folks that we're working with.
Last question here, Anna. How can anybody who's listening to this podcast help out Friends of Sochi Dogs?
um, Great question. And there are so many ways for folks to get involved. One is to adopt, um, foster a dog, and that means or foster, and that just means giving a dog a temporary home until they can find their forever humans. We are also looking for flight volunteers, so folks who like to travel, and are coming into New York. That's We really need that, because that's the only way that we can get dogs out. And of course, by donating, that's huge. That's what helps us provide that veterinary care. That's what provides food for the shelters. So we are run 100% by volunteers. So every dollar goes directly towards helping dogs.
And how many dogs do you have currently in your shelter?
So we don't have a shelter, but right now we have something like 20 dogs or so that we're working with. And we're constantly getting new ones. Our website probably gets updated once a day, once every 2 days, with new dogs that are coming in, dogs that are getting adopted. But we
Right.
generally handle probably about 20 dogs at a time. Um,
Well, that's quite a number to manage from different continents and different countries. So, thank you so much, Anna, for talking to us. I think organizations like Friends of Sochi serve as a reminder of the virtues that humans can sometimes be kind and uh, can be worthy of a dog.
Definitely. I will say that one thing that I am so grateful for, in starting Sochi Dogs, are the incredible humans that we've had a chance to meet from all walks of life, from all over the world, that just want to do good. And Sochi Dogs is able to connect them. So, very grateful for that.